Hey, thank you for joining me. Today we'll be doing a card reading for your career. Specifically, what is your ideal career, along with what can you do to better align to reach that career. You'll have five shapes to choose from. Try to go with your gut feeling when you're choosing these shapes and not so much mental. Like, try not to think about it too much. So I'll put up the shapes. If you need more time, do pause the video and look over and see what shape best resonates with you. All right, so first off, we're going to start with those who chose the shape circle. So what is the ideal career for those who chose circle? Okay, so we have the moon, we have the Six of Wands, and we have the King of Pentacles. So this type of career looks like some sort of a leadership position or a position where others are turning to you. It is a job that pays well. Um, you're comfortable in this career, but it looks like it's a type of job that you have to do the heavy thinking or the heavy lifting. Like, there's always a job where, you can be comfortable in just showing up and doing your portion of the work, clocking out, and you're set. This isn't one of those jobs. This is a job where you essentially are um, finding the work for those who will be employed either under you or right beside you. But you're doing the type of work that is of value that other people are contributing or benefiting from. Uh, maybe some type of like investment where you have to do a lot of planning and thinking, and essentially the fruits of your labor are, employment for all, or it could be um, some other uh, type of job where you're essentially finding solutions. Like, that's what you are actively doing. You are finding complex solutions, and essentially that is what you are making a living from. Finding, difficult solutions where other people would not be able to, and essentially that is how you will be making a living. So you can look at other careers that check those boxes, but it's essentially, doing some, deep thinking, and building a career off of that. Just looking for answers and solutions where others would not be able to find it. It could be an entrepreneur as well. It's essentially something where, it's not like a trade where you can cultivate a skill that others can also cultivate. This is something that's more internal. You're finding solutions, you're finding things that others probably would not think to do so, or might not be adept to doing. But that's your career right there, your ideal career. Okay, so next up, for those who chose the circle shape, what do you need to do to better align for your ideal career? Okay, so we have the Knight of Wands, Queen of Pentacles, and the Two of Cups. Okay, so it looks like you need to get your name out, or you need to almost market yourself. You need to go out and uh, almost make a name for yourself, or start moving things and get the wheel rolling for your momentum. Um, there is a sense of networking. So it looks like you need to be looking at making connections. These connections could be maybe something as simple as friendships, things that will maybe allow you to get to better positions, or it could be the type of connections that you make for, say, distributors, or somebody who helps you directly in the field that you're entering, or in the job that you'll be entering. There's also a sense of nurturing your craft. So whether it be a skill that is maybe not fully developed, or even if there is, say, funds that are modest at this time that are needed for, say, something like investing. The sense is that there's something that is not fully matured, but if nurtured, can very well be something that will aid you in your ideal career. So, recap, go out there, go make a name for yourself, network, and don't be discouraged if you are not a giant at this point in time. You are on the right path. Okay, next up, we have those who chose the square. What is your ideal career? All right, so we have the Death card, we have Ace of Cups, and the Sun. Okay, so it looks like you're somebody who's tasked with preparing someone's career. So you're who they call to have a career go back on track. Kind of like those bar rescue shows where it'll be an individual to come in to fix a bar, or even there's a one with Gordon Ramsay where he goes in to fix underperforming restaurants and food type establishments. So that's essentially you. Maybe not at that same capacity, but you are essentially sorting through the remains of a career of somebody else. You not necessarily have to be a dying career, but you're essentially some sort of consultant. You don't necessarily have to be a consultant per se, like helping other individuals, but there is a sense of an opportunistic sort of career. So you could just be acquisitioning other smaller things, smaller careers, something where um, you essentially got it at close to nothing, or something that was, kind of like a fixer-upper. It's essentially you profiting from something that maybe somebody else wasn't doing too well with. So that's essentially where you're at, or that's what your ideal career would be. Okay, so now what can you do to better align yourself with that ideal career? All right, so we have the Four of Cups, the Two of Wands, and the Seven of Pentacles. So it looks like a lot of this is psychological. It's almost like a mindset you need to tune into. There's definitely perseverance of uh, almost cultivating your craft and to keep going with it, because it looks like it's not something that is giving you immediate feedback to where you're able to know that you're doing good. It's more like you might not know that anything you're doing is even working. But a lot of the psychological aspects of this look like they have to do with almost humanitarianism. So it's almost a an understanding, like a non-judgmental understanding, almost like somebody who is looking after homeless people, or working with homeless people. A person like that should not be judgmental and you know know all the reasons why the people that they're helping are homeless. It's almost like that type of humanitarian, um, impartial understanding that you need. And it's something that will help you in your career, and um, essentially aid you, once you're where you need to be. It's once you've tuned your mindset to see things differently, maybe through this perspective, is that you will be able to click in and see, or better yet, be ready for the career that you are best aligned with. So if you're working to help other people, you would first need to know how to connect, or how to almost identify issues with somebody you would need to help, to then find the right way to approach that help. So, in short, to better align yourself with your ideal career, you would need to know how to understand those in need and identify how to best assist those in need. All right, next up we have those who chose the triangle. What is your ideal career? We have the Eight of Wands, we have the Knight of Swords, and the Emperor. So it looks like you are some type of general or some sort of hired. You are the big guns. You are who they call when all other options have been exhausted. You could very well actually be a general, like in a military career, but definitely not just limited to that. You're essentially somebody who's carrying out the will of someone else. Now, even though it's not you carrying out your own will, you do carry out the will of others effectively well. Your type of career definitely looks like some type of top level management or even a type of general. Now let's take a look at what you need to do to better align yourself with your ideal career. All right, so we have the Nine of Cups, the Seven of Wands, and the Hangman. So it looks like you to better align with your ideal career, you would need to master yourself and excel at your career. When I say master yourself, it's almost like you are an evolved person emotionally and mentally. Your ideal career could just be an unnatural progression of what you would normally be doing. There is an additional element to this, though, is that there is a sense of humility that is also needed to get you to that ideal career. It's a specific type of humility. It's a type of humility where you are uh, comfortable with not being at the very top. It's sort of like Tony Montana. He was okay working under somebody else and eventually advanced his career very high until he went against that individual and then ultimately was brought down. Really, it's more his principles because he chose not to blow up a car with like children in it, but that's beside the point. Point is, you have to be okay working under somebody, but you will essentially go very far if you should learn to be okay with that. Right now we have uh, people who chose the diamond shape. What is your ideal career? All right, so we have the King of Pentacles, the Five of Pentacles, and the Sun. Okay, so it looks like for you, your career, your ideal career is helping people or helping those less fortunate. Like it could be building an organization yourself or working as part of an organization to uh, bring help to those who need that. Possibly some kind of nonprofit organization or maybe even some sort of social work. While other ideal careers may focus on the actual value you possibly bring to an organization, this one here is the satisfaction you gain specifically from working with people or uplifting people, mostly those who are in need. It could be financially, it could be, uh, maybe say homeless people or children or someone who's underprivileged. There could be something that I'm not quite thinking about right now, but it's essentially helping the less fortunate. That's where a lot of your joy will derive from, and that's the ideal career that would fit you well. Okay, so now for those who chose the diamond shape, how can you best align yourself to land this ideal career? Okay, so we have the Wheel of Fortune, Knight of Cups, and the Ace of Pentacles. Right, so it looks like in order for you to become better aligned with this ideal career of yours, you almost need to go through a metamorphosis. So there is a period where you may reach a dissatisfaction or lack of meaning or a lack of purpose. And then this coupled with some sort of situation beyond your control that may result in a windfall of money. Now, the money may come in a type of way where we're now turning the page on a new chapter. So it's going to be something possibly life changing, life altering, but that is where a windfall of money may come in, and that coupled with a new perspective on life is something that will align you almost mentally and possibly financially to where you need to be at that fulfilling career. It could be something like, um, losing somebody to a specific disease, like a relative, they pass away due to a certain disease, and then with the money that you get as a sort of inheritance, you open up an organization where you assist those with that type of issue. But it doesn't necessarily have to be that. It's just something that will fill you with purpose. But the turning point, which is both like the psychological um, new perspective and the windfall of money, it's sort of tied together. So, it could be, something happened, like a partnership soured, and now you have a windfall of money. The point is that once you're there, um, you will already be at the mindset where now you would know at that point where you can um, plug that new capital. It could be, I don't know, maybe you run an orphanarium now at that point. The point is, your purpose will be filled possibly with the new, um, almost life-changing event that may take place. And finally, we have the star. So for those who chose the star shape, what does your ideal career look like? Right, so we have the Ace of Swords, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Queen of Cups. All right, so for this one here, it's looking like you are at home in a creative type of career. Now, this could be some sort of inventor or some sort of maybe like an app creator or an application creator. Essentially, someone who is bringing something new that didn't once exist into the market. It could also be some sort of engineer. It's essentially you are birthing an idea of something that didn't exist, and you are materializing it and now bringing it into this world. That's the the that's what you fall into. So it could be, creating, things like apps, but ideas, but essentially you're bringing something in, based on your intellect or your mind, and you're materializing it for the benefit of others. There's also possibly, some sort of um, wordsmith, so, being paid for your thoughts. Because again, you're birthing something, and it's essentially birthing something out of the intellect and then making it value to others. So, it's most likely some concrete idea that you're bringing in, but it is intellectual based. So it could also be, maybe you're like a radio host individual. Maybe you got a podcast or something, but essentially your mind, your intellect is bringing in something that is of value to other people. Right, so now for those who chose the star shape, how do you align yourself to that ideal career path? All right, so we have the Queen of Wands, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Star. All right, so in order for you to better align yourself with your ideal career, it looks like you are still needing to develop your craft. So essentially, whatever it is that you're currently learning or doing, to keep working on it. If you have multiple projects, keep working on those projects. And there's also a mental type of understanding that you need. It's like you are going to need to try 100 times before you can, strike gold. So, um, now's not the time for, well, I already tried it and it didn't work. You're gonna have to try, a million things, and eventually, some of them are gonna catch on. It it's also going to help here if you can find some sort of benefactor or somebody that you can work under or for that essentially is aligned with your ideas or your goals or your vision, and they're influencing their will in order to help you meet that. So it's going to be beneficial to you if you can find somebody like that that you can essentially um, reach and meet a common goal. It could be, working for a company, or, it could be an investor, but essentially it's somebody who is going to be able to make your efforts possible, sustainable, who can essentially provide the fuel for you to, keep your multiple, you know, um, rocket ship attempts, your blast offs, because you're going to need a lot. Also, that's it. Please let me know what you thought of these readings. As always, I welcome suggestions as to what type of reading you'd like to hear. Um, and yeah, hope you all have a great rest of your day.